Hey there, welcome to the Marketing Stream. I'm your host, Vicki O'Neill, where I help entrepreneurs, small business owners get unstuck with their marketing and just uncover what is really holding them back from driving more results in their business. And the Marketing Stream Live is just a way for me to help provide marketing assistance on different topics. And sometimes I have guests, and like today, which is probably going to be the first time that I've done this, I'm actually going to do something a little different. So the entire month of October 2020 is going to be focused more on getting to know more about me and just more casual conversations. Biggest reason being the last 2 weeks of October, I will be in Hawaii. So hopefully I'll still be able to maintain this time frame, which happens every Wednesday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But there's an off chance that I may go a little bit later in the day those 2 weeks. So I will let you know. It'll be indicated on the live screen and also on the graphic for that particular week. So what I'm going to do this week is go through different, outside of the tornado alarm testing. I forget about that. Every first Wednesday of the month at 12 noon, which is when my show goes live, they do tornado testing. So I don't think you can hear it, but it just reminded me that that happens. Anyway, today I'm going to talk about something that was actually brought to my attention through a conversation that I was actually having with Teresa Franco Macaro, who was a guest on my podcast a couple of weeks ago. And a topic that I had talked about and referred to her is about storytelling. So through a conversation I was having with her, she'd asked me, and I've actually been asked this before, but I always seem to go to more recent examples. But the question was, when was it that you knew that having your own business or marketing was what you wanted to do? And if it's marketing, I always go back to this moment in time where I started working as a temp with an agency, a local agency that I ended up happened to be hired into. And at the time I didn't have my degree, so it was more administrative work. But I got my degree, worked my way up through the company, and then went and did other things at other companies. But there was a pivotal moment at that company that I realized that I had a bigger impact on how people learn or absorb information. And that training was something that I really enjoy doing. And one of the reasons why I do the live streams and I upload the videos and I share so much information either here or on the different social channels, on my website, etc. And I just love to see that transformation. And there was a moment in time when I was with a corporation, actually the one company that I got so much experience from in regards to marketing, sales training, leadership training, handling employee discipline issues, just a lot of different things, cross-team collaboration between marketing, sales, IT, publishing, you name it. And it was just a company that I'm extremely grateful for gaining all of that experience. They're also the ones who paid for my tuition to go back and get my degree. So a lot to be appreciative of. So at this company, the marketing department, which is where I worked, they were 100% supporting sales. So the company was more or less a sales agency. And we partnered with telephone companies around the US and published their Yellow Pages directories. So if you're younger, you may not be familiar with what those are, but I'm also dating myself, and I'm going to show something that actually has a date on it as well. But it was just a moment in time where I had conversations and kept hearing the same thing popping up. And we were print, but we were transitioning and trying to figure out how we could continue generating revenue from internet. And this is back in the day when internet was like new, not completely new, but there wasn't the focus or the capabilities that you have in today's environment. So I'm going to say hi real quick. Hey, Monique. Thanks for joining me today. I'm glad you're here. Thank you. So I'm going through just a little bit of my backstory and talking about, hey, Andrew, thanks for being here. Appreciate it. Glad you're here. You're probably doing two screens at this time again too, right? So I'm just going through a little bit of my backstory and kind of like what got me started in marketing and just where my passion actually was driven from the beginning and taking me down this path. So it was at this company that I kept hearing all of these obstacles. So we had print objectives for the sales team, and those became easy to not, I don't want to say it was easy, but the business model was so familiar that it became easy over time for them to just continue doing what they were doing. And every year going through the process of, rate increases and new product introductions and, what marketing support are we going to do? So that was always very solidified, at least during the time frame that I was there. The thing is that while I was there was this transition into internet and needing to have products and revenue, and you start seeing declines in the print revenue area. You need to start introducing other things that are going to start offsetting that, right? And start increasing revenue. And when you can see these trends and these patterns start to evolve, all of a sudden it gets people's attention, right? Then it's all about how can we make sure that we keep this new revenue or the revenue going up instead of going down. So the biggest issue that came up was after introducing the internet products that we were rolling out, of course, the rates and the pricing, everything associated with that was not as high as the print. So it wasn't an even swap, right? You're going to automatically start a lot less because the pricing and the cost to actually do something online is a lot cheaper than it is to print an actual product and go through that whole process. So I was involved in both the print and the internet. And I was hearing these complaints valid complaints of how are we going to train our salespeople to adopt this new mindset of they need to put more focus on internet. We're seeing declines in our print revenue. We need to look at how we can increase their knowledge base on the internet, and then also with the product introductions and do more bundling of those products together, because eventually there's going to need to be more internet products, more revenue driven from internet, and that knowledge has to be there. So it was just an ongoing battle, no matter what market we were introducing or selling into. So this was my moment of thinking, we've got to solve this problem because marketing doesn't know how to support sales because they're just it's becoming disparate in that marketing wants to go in this direction of supporting internet sales, but you don't have the salespeople doing the same thing. And then we had separate groups and it was becoming very complicated. So I'm all about trying to simplify the complicated. And I decided that I was going to develop training for initially the marketing team to educate them on all of the internet products and get them more accustomed to what internet offers. And then because they were so involved with their sales team, it would be another direction and another way to influence how sales would embrace this new world, right? So I went through the process of getting my manager's approval. I went to the executive team, which we already worked pretty closely with. So they were on board with it when they were like, okay, that's fine. I explained it. I actually incorporated a little bit of fun into this training, and I absolutely loved it. So what I want to do is just bring that up real quick. I see D90 Bell. Hey, thanks so much for being here. Awesome. Appreciate it. Andrew, yep, but not Pat. He streamed early today, so I'm working on my music and have you on mobile because my music studio takes control of the audio. That's understandable. Pat's schedule seems to be a little all over the place, so I can't keep up with him anymore. I liked it when he was going live at 11 a.m. my time, 8 a.m. his time. That made it super easy. So what I want to do is just bring this up because I think you guys will think this is funny, whether you're here live or you're watching the replay. And I actually show the date of this too. And this will be like one of two steps that I'll show you today And then I'll continue this discussion next week as well. It'll be kind of like part 2. So this is part 1. But I do have to, I only have one USB drive. So I have to take the USB drive out of my computer for my mouse. So now I have to use the keyboard on my laptop. So, all right, I'm going to pull this up over here and then show you guys this training because it's hilarious. Let's see here. Go to the thumb drive. Okay, I'm going to share my screen over here. Let's do this. Whoops. Actually, I'm just going to pull this up so you guys can see all of it. But this is the training, and you can see this going back to 2006. Here, I'll increase it. I don't know if I can. Oh, I can't do that anymore because I undid my mouse. So you can see here. Hopefully, you guys can see this. But here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to pull this up real quick because I think it's important to show what this looked like. Let me put this back over here because that was over here. Okay, so this, keep in mind, this training is back from 2006, as you can see here. And then also you can see this was my married name, Vicki O'Neill Ropus. So O'Neill's my maiden name. Ropus was the last name of my husband at the time. So I combined them. Think through that, ladies, if you're ever considering doing that, because it is a lot of work, especially signing. But anyway, so I had gone to the executive team, my managers, and everybody and said, hey, I want to develop some training that's going to focus on educating the marketing team that focused on print product at the time, because I was on the internet team, and helping the print team understand what the internet products and rates and pricing and models and all that stuff is all about. Here's the thing. I'm going to do something a little different. Oh, I forgot I'm not doing this right now. Let me get my myself back on here. I got to keep switching the screens. Okay, so I was saying, let's go ahead and do this a little bit differently. And at the time, my favorite TV show of all time was The Apprentice. So I was thinking through this and saying, how can I make this fun? How can I make this interesting? I want to help learn, but at the same time, let's make it fun. So I went ahead and took the Apprentice concept of that TV show and brought it into the workplace and created teams, made it fun, made it competitive. I got the leadership team on board with doing prize giveaways. So it could have been swag with the company brand on it, or it could have been gift cards, or like I had a slew of really nice gifts that the winners of the week would actually win. So it was one, I loved this process because I saw a problem and I wanted to solve it. And I wanted to do something different than other people had done, because any of the training that they had received at that point, just it wasn't making its way through. Like they still weren't understanding. And because the company's bread and butter was still focused on the print products, understandably, that's where they wanted to keep their focus. But when you can see that there is this new path being created for the future, at the time it was internet, my thought was it was important to create that emphasis and make the importance, known that we have to get on board now because it's going to continue going in this path. So that's why I created this training. So I'm going to bring this back up. I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but I just thought it was funny because one, the slides, and then another thing, because my name's on here is my married name, and then just the date. And this is kind of like where it all started. This was like the pivotal moment for me. So going through let me go back over here to the slides. But going over here to, coming up with the agenda, the objectives, engaging the marketing print with various departments. Here, engage a little friendly competition, and it's talking about, we're going to learn the internet style. And then I went into all the different photos of everybody and had the apprentice music playing in the background and everything. So that's what all these, I'm not going to go through all the photos, but, and then I walked through how it was going to work. So, we were going to go ahead and do a 4-week training session. So if you think of today and how people are doing, 4-week online courses or, 12-week courses or whatever, this was something that I was doing way back then in person because I was working at a company. So I had that flexibility. We had a few remote employees, but for the most part, everybody was in the office. And we were just going through and, I was leading this whole thing, which I absolutely loved. And as you can see here, as I go back to this, I don't like always having this thing with just that screen because I feel like that's all you're reading. So I split it up initially into 2 teams, but then they got to pick who their project managers were. And then every week there was a task that they had to learn. So I would assign what that task was, and they had a week to go through the process. And these are just some, terminologies of what we were doing at the time: product family, who the players are, the products that we offer, how sales is performing. So this was just, going through all the details, the resources that were available, what they're going to be assigned to do every single week. They had to meet as a team for 1 hour every week. So they had to incorporate that into their calendars. And, of course, sharing the reasons why this was so important. The tools that we used, you can kind of see over here, the, if any of you guys were, online back then, that's like your typical intranet layout, right? Just the resources that were available, the stats dashboard where they could go to just look at the internet product results, right? Because again, this is all focused on the internet. So all the different tools. Sales Ally was the CRM that we actually developed in-house at that time. It was a homegrown sales enablement system that was amazing. And being on the marketing team, there were very specific marketing materials for different segments. So today we talk about, focusing in on your niche or your niche, however you say that. I hear it both ways. Doing that, or, the personas, which is what I focus on, your ideal target customers. And this is back in 2006. And even when I started this company even farther, it actually was a temp employee in 1995 and then was hired on in 1996. I know, again, dating myself, right? But Sales Ally was a homegrown system. And throughout that tenure in the marketing department, I was creating maps and I was working with the algorithm in the system, which when a sales rep would print out these documents, it would personalize it with their name. So if they signed into the system as Vicki O'Neill, then whatever I printed at that time in that session would be printed with my name on it, which, at the time, that's pretty cool, right? I don't even see people doing that today with things being printed. So it was one system that housed everything that they needed for every segment, every type of customer that they would ever have to approach. Now, there were some markets that were segmented, which meant that, the bigger markets were, and you would have a team focused on just attorneys or just service, like plumbers and roofers and that type of thing. Or you'd have professionals, which would be like your health and medical. And I'm trying to think about it. No, that was actually a completely separate segment. But you would have people focused on that. And I was one of the people amongst 40 other people in the marketing department responsible for creating these materials. So it involved research and it involved pricing analysis, and it included product development and product ideation and working very closely with our partners. And it was just such a pivotal moment in my life professionally in learning so much about the business world and marketing and cross-team collaborations and new product development. This is going back again into, the late 90s, early 2000s when I was doing all of this stuff. And of course that stuck with me, and I've added on to that and am only focused on digital products now, which you can see in the slides, it was internet, right? So we don't usually go by that anymore. But this is this training that I created, that I came up with, that I created, that I implemented, that people loved. Now, they didn't embrace it at first because they're like, what are you trying to do to us? You're like trying to kill us. We have so much work to do already. People are kind of worried with, what's going on with the different markets. But when I say incorporate fun into your work environment, this is an example of what I'm talking about. It's work, but it was having some fun by taking, at the time, everybody knew the show The Apprentice, Donald Trump's, part of his business before he became president. And, that's the kind, you can have fun like that in business without, losing sight of the objective or achieving goals and, even the benchmarks along the way and just getting people involved. I think you may agree with me. I'm going to be positive that you'll agree with me that when you can have something that's fun in the learning process, then it makes it easier to actually learn and remember and then even apply, right? Can I get a yes? So, hey, Diana, thanks so much for joining. I'm using the mouse on my laptop, so if you see me reaching up like that. Hey there, thanks so much for joining. Sounds like you need a USB hub to give you more. Yeah, exactly, I really do. I always seem to be like scaled down version, Andrew, of everything that I actually need. So I make it work because I don't have a big workspace. So I just try to keep everything, there. But anyway, going back to that. So that training was like the pivotal moment in my career where I realized that when you pay attention to like consistent problems that various people are talking about, if you just kind of take a step back and evaluate it and see how you can approach it from a different angle with a solution that may or may not be received well by them, but at least it's, it's part of that process. It's part of the problem solution process. So, and then just seeing how this all evolved and just coming up with this elaborate training plan and then being a part of the process and the success and the results. Now, at the end of those 4 weeks, will I say that everybody was 100% bought into focusing on internet and generating more revenue from that side of the business? No, because as we all know, change happens over time and people embrace it at different paces, right? So there's some people who are excited about it and wanted to see it go in that direction. And there were other people who are just like, yeah, I've been doing this forever on the print side. I'm just going to keep doing it. I'm doing it until someone forces my hand to make this change. And that's okay. It's just good to be aware of who those people are so that there can be follow-up training or, focus training on just that smaller group of people who are like, yeah, I can't do this. I got to stay focused here and I can't focus on this. So that was the moment because of the flexibility, because I was able to lead this team and come up with this brand new idea and see the impact that it had, that I was like, I need to do something on my own. Like, I'm not ready now, but because I didn't even know what it meant back then. Again, this is back in 2006. And I was like, I love that. The flexibility, and I love it. So that then takes me to the second part that I mentioned that I wanted to talk about, and I'll continue the story next week as well. But for the sake of time and just, understanding the history, not going into too many details, I'm actually going to switch this back out again. So if you can, bear with me for a minute. I'll just show you this again real quick so you can see that. But I have to go through the proper process too of ejecting my thumb drive, which you just heard that. So I'm going to take that out and put the mouse USB back in. Okay, we're good again. Awesome. All right. So taking you to the second part, I'm now going to minimize that screen and take you over here because this is something that this was like phase one of my online presence. I'm going to do this like part screen, split screen. And this first website, I don't know if you guys have heard of this before, but if not, and I don't know if it's available internationally or if this is just a US website, but it's called Wayback Machine. Here, I'll put I created a banner. So in case you guys wanted to go to it. If you search for Wayback Machine, it's the web.archive.org website. So Wayback Machine. And then if you go to, and I've already got these pulled up because I realized when I clicked on them earlier that it takes forever because again, this is going through like billions of web pages, billions. And you can see here, I can't even click on it. It's because it's still processing. So, but this would be the one, right here, web.archive.org. And you click on it. And then it takes you to a website where you can enter in. And the reason why I'm mentioning this is because, yeah, right here you can see explore more than 477 billion web pages that have been saved over time, right? So that's a lot. I'll go back to the comments real quick, make sure I don't miss anything. But what I did this search because that training eventually transitioned me to was starting my own website. And this goes back to 2008, which you can see here. And it was called, this was a year after the first iPhone was released. And that was like June 2017. And that's when people started to associate the I and iPhone with different things. So that's where this came from way back then. And I wanted to incorporate something with marketing and driving results. So I came up with the website, imarketresults.com. So many different ways that you can look at that. And for some reason, images don't come through on all of these. So if you see this, there was a diagram there. I don't know what was up here, if it was like a logo I created or if it was my picture, I'm not real sure. I don't remember. But this was the main page. And I think this is funny because it's like there's not a lot of pictures. And this was the actual size. Like it wouldn't take up the entire web page, which you may remember that, right? Today, it'll take up the web page. If you're on a phone, if you're on a tablet, it'll automatically scale, right, to whatever the screen size is. So here it was just, have you heard there's new online marketing formula? And I was going into trying to create something different. Again, my perspective is always, how can I differentiate myself and how can I be different and how can I create different perspectives or a unique view on something that is very common. So with this, it was all about just trying to, create a formula that I totally made up. But again, incorporating the I from iPhone into this whole thing too. So, and what's funny is I'm an Android user now. So I don't have any iPhone or Apple products at all. So going through here and just, again, this is going back to, way before today, which is where people understand me from. It's from VickiO'Neill.com or from doing my persona development or marketing strategy type courses or events or posts or podcast episodes, whatever it is. And I'm showing some of this to demonstrate how far back the passion I have for marketing and helping people actually goes. So, we go here. I think creating talks a little bit more about this. Hopefully it won't take too long to load because I've gone to all these pages already because it did take a long time for it to be displayed. So that's why I'm doing this. And I actually have another page pulled up here too, which was a blog that I had created way back when. And that was in an effort to, again, not be like everybody else because everybody was creating blogs on a particular topic. And like I mentioned with the different segments at the company I'd worked for, the print yellow pages and the internet and all that, I had been exposed to so many different industries and different markets. And I had so many different interests that I didn't want to focus in on one particular thing. And I didn't want to hold back from the knowledge I gained and sharing that with other people as well. So that's why I came up with a blog that was called the Eclectic Blog. And that was before people were incorporating blogs into their websites. So, and you can see here, I think it was on the main page, it showed that my name, I was like, oh my gosh, my name's not anywhere on here. But the intent behind creating this initially, and I remember where I was sitting on the couch in my living room and I was so excited. I was still excited. This was back in 2008. So it was 2 years or a year and a half after I had developed that training, but it's something I had been thinking about for such a long time and wanted to create something. And I remember sitting there and trying to come up with the name. What am I going to call this? what is it going to be? What type of information am I going to display on a website? Which, as you can see, websites back then weren't what they are today. And also people weren't putting their names out there as frequently or as easily as they are today. So I focused on the name of a company. It wasn't a company I officially did. It was just a website that I created. And, just going back to creating, the importance of tracking your marketing, which is all of the messaging that I include in what I do today. So what I train, what I teach, what I include in my videos that I upload every Thursday, or the information I talk about in my podcast episodes, this goes back years. This is over a decade now that we're talking about with this information of experience and knowledge and just how I wanted to share this information with other people. I'm talking about critical success factors, the benefits and reasons why you need to track, your ROI. Going to About Us, it was just me. So I think the intention behind that was to eventually have a team of people. But as we all know, when you start your own business, and again, apparently that one's not working. With your own business, it doesn't always work out the way that you want it to. And then you start realizing that, I can't leave my full-time job because that's a secure paycheck, right? And you know that when you go off and you do your own thing, you lose that security and your focus and your attention and how you work is completely different. So that was the original thought behind this. But then I decided, stay focused on a full-time job because I had young children at the time and needed to do that. So there was so iMarket results didn't last too long. And you can see up here, if it would have continued, there would be additional, that's what these marks are, like updates when the web crawled and scanned those particular pages. That's when they were. So then if we go to VickiO'Neill.com, this will show you, and I'm only bringing this up to show you the website that went after this one, which was in 2008. And I probably only had it up for a year or two. So that takes you to 2010. Then my website, which I'm continuing to evolve this over time, right? While I'm working full time at a job. At this time, I had started having people come to me asking for, it was a lot of people that were either starting a company or they were starting a new part of a company. So an existing company that they were branching off with a new name, still associated, but they needed new materials for that. So it was like, hey, can you create a logo? Can you create marketing materials? Can you create a website? And I had a group of people that I could say, hey, I need you, designer person, to create, logo options and website development person. So I had a group of people that I could reach out to, and I could continue working on these different types of projects in order to keep my, my skills sharp outside of the corporate world. So this is part of my website today, which I don't need to show you that now. But if we go back to, hopefully it'll go back to it. I thought it was going to pull up pretty quickly because I'd already had it. And this just goes back to showing you, I know I used to have a picture up here of myself, and I remember what picture that was. But again, this is me showing the differences and me being passionate about what I'm doing and what I'm doing it for. And back at the time, you could see, my professional passion. I love the geek side of technology and how that works for marketing and business. My personal life, it was my two daughters. At the time, they were 12 and 10. That was 10 years ago. They're now 22 and 20. So yeah, that was a long time ago. And they were my two biggest inspirations anyway. So, and then a third passion was just helping people. And I think that shows in what I do today. And the reason why I do the videos, whether they're live or the uploaded ones, or I do the podcast episodes, or, I share information because I genuinely love helping people. And if I can see a before and an after and be a part of that transition or transformation in between, oh my gosh, that's like, my ideal situation. And it goes back again all the way to, a decade ago in this example with this website. And I still like this mantra: learn from yesterday, live for today, look forward to tomorrow. In fact, my youngest daughter, the one that's 20, she'd asked me what my favorite quote was the other day, and I didn't even realize it was on here, but that's the one that I had mentioned to her. So I still live by that mantra today. But just going through and, looking at what it was that, inspired me at this point. And this was in 2011. And just websites that I threw up myself. I think in one of these, this one, I talk about, why I used unexpected, passionate, and engaging as like my tagline back then. And you can see it here. I have a different perspective, I think, on, being realistic. So looking at the perception versus reality, passion is all about what you do in order to be happy, right? So looking at it from a professional and a personal standpoint, are you working your passion? Are you doing what you absolutely love and what brings you happiness? And then engaging with people. And again, even back then, a life student, something I would totally say today, because I love to learn new information and then spend time kind of figuring it out. How does this all work together? And how can I use this in my business today to help other people in their business go from here to there? And so that's a lot of, the history behind that. I'm not going to go to all of the pages, but here's why I pulled up the eclectic blog from here. But this is just going back to, again, 2011, when I was blogging completely separate from, VickiO'Neill.com or anything that you would see on LinkedIn or Twitter or anything today, just grouping different, topics. And again, you can see I'm talking about different things here. So it's really cool. If you do have older websites, or this was actually a pretty fun project, Speed Dating with an Edge. I got to test drive a Ford Edge when it first came out with a local dealership, and it was awesome. Absolutely love that. But if you do have a website from a long time ago and you want to check it out and just kind of bring back some of those, moments of why you started what you do, or, see the consistency in your message back then and how you bring that forward today, go to the Wayback Machine website. And again, I'm not sure if this works internationally, so you'll have to look at it and see if it actually does. But it's, it's a great resource. And it was just something that I was had reminded myself after talking with Teresa and her asking me that question, what was that pivotal moment in your life when you knew that this is what you wanted to do? And I thought, what a great thing to share with you guys today. Since I'm keeping the topics more casual and laid back for the month of October. So that was just something I felt very passionate about. I knew I still had that training from forever ago. So I thought that would be kind of cool just to kind of bring that up and show you guys. And then since I was able to look at the websites from way back when, I thought that would be kind of cool too, just to, see that consistency from way back then to, what I'm doing today. So hopefully that was some inspiration to you as well, that if you've been doing what you've been doing for a long time, then I apologize, I got allergies. Just to, go back to your roots, and, if you need to be re-energized with your passion and remember why you're doing what you're doing, that's a great way to do that if you have those online resources to go back to. If not, find something that will inspire you again to remember why you're doing what you're doing. And next week, I will continue the discussion. I might have a little surprise for you. I won't know until this weekend if I will or not. But if so, it'll be really cool. So if you want to hear the second part of my story, which I'm obviously truncating significantly since I've been doing this now, I guess, for 25 years. I keep saying over 20 years, but it's been 25 years. And, if you want to be a part of that discussion and just kind of see what I was, what the second part of this whole inspiration and what keeps me going, part of my story is, then I'll continue that next Wednesday as well during the live session. So if there's anything I can do at this point to, help you guys in your business or instill some type of inspiration, I'd be more than happy to do so. My contact information, if you don't already know how to get a hold of me, will be, let me take this down, hide that, and then put this one up. There we go. VickiO'Neil.com/card for a business card. And that'll take you all the different ways that you can contact me, whether it's on social media, has my email address, it has my phone number. I think everything that you need is on that one page. So feel free to reach out to that webpage and then just reach out to me however you want to. There's also live chat on my website, so you can access that as well. So I will go ahead and continue the discussion next week. Before I go, though, I want to see, learning can be fun. Yes, absolutely. My first business failed spectacularly. A lot of ours do, Diana. And that's funny that that's how we learn, right? But yet here we both are with our businesses, and we learned from that. And then we just kept moving forward. Andrew, I'm actually waiting for a response from an attorney to see if they can help me establish my business because of Social Security restrictions on earned income. Yeah, they're extremely helpful on that, Andrew. So hopefully they will be able to help you with that and not charge you an arm and a leg, right? Attorneys can be expensive. I know I set up my LLC in 2010. I think 2010 or 2011. I always say 2011. I think it was actually 2010. And it was a super simple process. I just went to a local attorney. I remember being in his office for like maybe 5 minutes. I don't remember how much it cost though to set that up. I think it was a couple $100, maybe like maybe it was $300 or $400 to set up the LLC, make it official, get your EIN number and all that. But then once you have it up, it's official. Then you can just use that all the time for your business and your work. Looking forward to it, sister. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, you guys. I appreciate you being here. Andrew, Diana, Monique, if you're still here, D90 Bell. I think that covers everybody. Yes. Awesome. Okay. Well, again, if there's anything I do, let me know. Otherwise, I'll have a new video uploaded for you tomorrow, and it's going to be on the 4 common marketing mistakes that a lot of people make online and what you can do about it. So if you're interested in that, make sure that you come back tomorrow. If you're already subscribed and hit the bell notification, you will know when that is uploaded. So it should be up by 9 a.m. tomorrow morning. If not, definitely sometime tomorrow. But that's my goal, 9 a.m. tomorrow. All right. Don't forget to hit the like button. Leave me a comment if you have any questions afterwards, or if there's anything in particular that you have a question about, because I know this was a Ask Me Anything, a Q&A type discussion. I was prepared with the stories in case no one showed up or there weren't any questions. So if you do have questions, definitely let me know. Okay. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate you and investing your time to be here with me and support me in my journey. So thank you so much, and make today great. Thank you. Enjoy your day.